Coach Schiano was talking about how often teams are throwing things at the defense that they're not expecting, things they haven't seen on film. Are you guys getting that on offense? Are you seeing things from the opposing defense that you have not seen on film, Kevin?
Early in the year, we did quite a lot. Now, last Saturday, I mean, Iowa structurally kind of plays the way they play, and there were some subtle adjustments, how to maybe, fit the run game or whatever, but they did nothing exceptionally out of ordinary what they did.
Kevin, how important is it to try to get a run game going against this defense coming in? I mean, obviously you've gone against them a lot in the past, but what is it they do well, but how important is it for you guys still to try to establish something?
Well, Coach D'Antonio's background, having been here, is a defensive guy and committed to stop the run and committed to stop the run, first of all, culture and mindset, just like running the balls, culture and mindset. Committed to stop the run and structure and how they line up. And they're going to be very, very stern in their approach. They're not going to change as far as where they put guys and why. And sometimes that stresses their coverage, but they've always, Coach D'Antonio is also a DB coach, so he understands how to coach those DBs and help those guys out. So some of this goes back years and years and years ago to the Miami Hurricanes 4-3 defense. When we were at Miami, Ohio for 9 years with Coach Walker, Terry Hepner ran it well. In fact, I actually believe some of the same calls. Coach Narduzzi was with us at Miami. I think some of those same calls, he uses some of the same language. So the coverage has changed over time. They're much more exotic in third down, but their run defense is stout, always has been. It's why it's the foundation of their program. We got to find one this week. It's going to be hard. We got to find a way to stick with it and stay with it. But it's also going to be very, very difficult to run.
We were asking you last week when we had you, how come JK's not getting the ball as much? And then, of course, he had 6 carries Saturday. He did catch 5 passes. But what's been the conversation, I guess, about just specifically about J.K. Dobbins and stuff about, have y'all talked about he does need to get the ball more?
Well, and again, I wouldn't say just J.K. as much as because it would just tailback runs in general.
Yeah.
But again, we spread it out. Like, for example, J.T. Statistically has the most rushes last game, but there were 4. I think I went back and looked at my set. I said, well, how many? We had 4 designed quarterback runs where there's no option but him. When you're doing the run pass option or the run read option, right now sometimes they're forcing him to keep the ball because they don't want JK to keep the ball. So that being said, schematically, we got to find some ways to get hats on those guys so our running back can be the runner. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we haven't done it the last couple of weeks.
But when you have a guy who's as dynamic as JK, do you need to work in some straight tailback handoffs so you aren't letting the defense dictate how much he gets the ball?
Yes, and at the same time, every defense you're playing is outnumbering you, that either the quarterback or the run pass option equates that. So for example, this week, if you're going to try and just hand it to the tailback over and over and over with base runs, because every time you add an offensive player, they add one more guy into the core. And that being said, that's the gist of spread offense. Now again, we've got to work hard, and my time through the years at other places when the quarterback could not run, our quarterback can run here. When the quarterback cannot run, how do you still find running game when the quarterback can't run? And we've had to do that over time, and we've tried it last week. We had some things in last week. We just didn't get to it. We didn't execute well. We had 140 yards at halftime, I think, rushing. And so I think we're on track to have a good game. But we had those 3 and outs in the third quarter, and by the time the fourth quarter started, we're down 28. We're in 2-minute offense. And the game got away from us with a bad third quarter execution and play call.
What do you feel like happened there in the third quarter?
Turnovers.
What do you feel like happened there in the third quarter? Was it play calling, or was it with them making halftime adjustments you guys weren't prepared for?
No, they kind of did what they had their adjustments, but subtle. They had their structure, had their game plan, they executed. We didn't. And so whether it be a first down pass, then on second down we go to a run that doesn't work. It's third and long. We got the third and long in the first and second quarters. We had a couple of drives. I think a critical drive is when the game's 17-17 and we get it to midfield. Defense had to stop. And we throw the pick 6. We kind of settled down. We had the 2 nice touchdown passes. We get the ball across midfield and bogged down there. I think we had converted a 4th and 1, and we had the ball a chance right there to settle down, and we don't. So, but third quarter, we just didn't execute. Whether it be, again, play calling, executing the plays that are called, combination of both.
Especially a game like this, how crucial is it for you guys to be able to hit the deep ball, kind of loosen up the defense, kind of open up the running game by hitting the deep ball, at least loosen them up a little bit?
You don't loosen these guys up. They just kind of keep playing their quarters man. They may have some adjustments when they zone pressure and do their zone fires and their fire zone games. They'll go to some man free, but they're basically going to put, years ago, again, Coach Hepner would always call it cat coverage. I got this cat, I got that cat, and you got to stop the run. And so it's, you got to make some one-on-one plays to throw the ball to these guys. You can do all the play action you want, but it still comes down to one-on-one. And they're so well taught in their scheme. They keep their eyes where they're supposed to. They're very disciplined. So you can try to open up the run game, but it's going to be a fist fight to run the ball.
When you had quarterbacks in the past that couldn't run, and you said that you had to try to figure out ways to get the tailback the ball, how do you do that? What's the thought process behind how you go about that?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, that's where those run-pass options come in, and because instead of structuring to read a defensive end, you get into some of the throw game, or your tight end's got to be short. Sometimes when you add the tight end into the blocking structure, you widen the extra guy, so it's a little bit farther for the unblocked guy to get there, and so you get into some screens or draws. I mean, you got to find some things, and at the same time, because our quarterback is a good runner, sometimes we don't go down that avenue. We use him to equate it.
Could you go down that avenue, or is that too much?
Sometimes it can be too much, and that's where again right now, and that again, as I look at last week, man, I think in the third quarter, maybe I just got a lower place and didn't get us in rhythm with too much play calling. Just pick this play, pick that play, versus just getting in a flow. As a play caller, I didn't get us in flow, and as an offense, we didn't execute in that third quarter.
What's the Dauber been like for your offense this week and stuff? You sense they're, do you sense they're down? I mean, what do you sense? What do you sense coming out of like your second practice, I guess, today?
If you go back, and again, we didn't quote have the statistical numbers, but you watch the line in the line of scrimmage. I thought those kids played very, very hard. Mm-hmm. It came off the ball, and there was a lot of they've been playing very, very well the last few weeks. I don't think in that game their performance hindered what we were doing. JT's played great all year, and got behind some chains, a couple calls, or a receiver not spacing out or being a hair late, whatever, threw a couple picks. But he's played so well, I think he can come back from it. And we've been playing well. We've had a good week of practice, so it's going to be a great challenge. Got a chance to stay in the race for our division and get us back on track. It's going to be a fight. I know in my world, I've been very enthusiastic, energetic. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We've been close to being a really good offense. Let's make sure we fight our tails off to be great this week.
And Kevin,
one last question.
I don't mean to belabor the point, but I'm going to belabor the point. It's from the outside, from out here, it just seems like J.K. Dobbins is a very dynamic back who averaged 8 yards per carry last week when he could get the ball. And regardless of how a defense is playing you and what happens in the read game, from out here it just seems like it's 2 straight weeks. How can that guy who's that good not get more carries? Bottom line is that, and going forward out here, it seems like he's got to get more carries. However it happens, that guy has to get more carries going forward. Does that make sense, or what's your response to that? Is it just that it's not that simple, or can it be that simple? A dynamic tailback like that must get the ball more.
Well, he's got to get it, but your quarterback's been hot, your receiver's been good. We just did not execute our stuff, so we'll sit there and slam that back in there, and they'll have those 12 guys with butcher knives up in there this week, and we'll get 3rd and 8 real quick, and they'll tee off with their nickel package and pin their ears back. So I mean, yeah, we got to get him the ball, but I guess it's just play calling. And so you can look at again when you call the plays and call the rhythm in the game where it gets taken out of his hand. You look at me, and we're not trying to. Like I say, I think again, because I knew I'd get asked about it. There were 30 running calls in the game plan Saturday were called, and 4 were designed quarterback runs. So that being said, okay, do we go to 12 package and put big tight ends? Well, we like that speed and that spread stuff. So again, when you spread it out, you get into either the run pass option or the read option. We'll fight hard to get him going. He's been great, and going forward, yeah, we got to get him carries. Got to. But I don't think we can force it either. Can't be stubborn about it. But I mean, he's a special player. He's a special kid. We're not trying to take the air out of his ball, and we'll work hard to keep to find it. And that being said, too, the guy's going to distribute the ball in certain plays, and I'm going to call certain plays. Coach Meyer's going to call certain plays, and we get going in the game plan. So, we're trying to score as much and as fast, but we did not Saturday. And that, as always, like going back to the other game, wasn't good. That falls on me. I got to own that. Take responsibility for it.
Sorry, last question.
That little toss play that you guys ran early in the game seemed to work pretty good dividends, but I don't know if that's counter to what you guys are doing with the zone read or not. A way to get around what they're doing. Is that?
Yeah. So then when we did it in the third quarter, the end got up the field, we forced our quarterback to keep it. And when he bounced it, our left guard got called for a holding penalty, and it was first and 20. It's the same play.
Okay.
But they made their adjustment by just widening the end. So, you know.
Very good.
Thanks, Kevin.
I appreciate it.
Kevin.